Modern Real Estate Practice, page 414. Legal requirements. Federal and state laws impose strict requirements on landowners whose property contains underground storage tanks. The federal UST program is regulated by EPA. The regulations apply to tanks that contain hazardous substances or liquid petroleum products and that store at least 10% of their volume underground. Some states also have adopted laws regulating underground storage tanks that are more stringent than the federal laws. UST owners are required to register their tanks and adhere to strict technical and administrative requirements that govern installation, maintenance, corrosion prevention, overspill prevention, monitoring, and record keeping. Owners are also required to demonstrate that they have sufficient financial resources to cover any damage that might result from leaks. The following types of tanks are among those that are exempt from the federal regulations. Tanks that hold less than 110 gallons. Farm and residential tanks that hold 1,100 gallons or less of motor fuel used for non-commercial purposes. Tanks that store heating oil burned on the premises. Tanks on or above the floor of underground areas such as basements or tunnels. Septic tanks and systems for collecting stormwater and wastewater. Most seller property disclosures are required only for residential properties. However, most of the problematic USTs are found in commercial and industrial properties, thereby placing the duty of discovery squarely on the buyer. Because many of the older tanks have never been registered and exempt tanks are not required to be registered, real estate professionals and their buyers should be particularly alert to the presence of fill pipes, vent lines, stained soil, and fumes or odors, any of which may indicate the presence of a UST. Detection, removal, and cleanup of surrounding contaminated soil can be expensive, so it is important to deal with these issues before, not after, closing. In practice, whenever a real estate professional is in doubt about whether or not a property contains USTs, a contingency should be added to the property buyer's offer, allowing the buyer to have the property inspected for USTs. Waste disposal sites and brownfields. Federal, state, and local regulations govern the location, construction, content, and maintenance of landfill sites built to accommodate the vast quantities of garbage produced every day in America. Additionally, legislation exists to govern the use of brownfields, which are defunct, derelict, or abandoned commercial or industrial sites, many of which are suspected to contain toxic waste. Page 415. Waste disposal sites. A landfill is an enormous hole, either excavated for the purpose of waste disposal or left over from surface mining operations. The hole is lined with clay or a synthetic liner to prevent leakage of waste material into the water supply. A system of underground drainage pipes permits the monitoring of leaks and leaching. Waste is laid on the liner at the bottom of the excavation, and a layer of topsoil is then compacted onto the waste. The layering procedure is repeated until the landfill is full, with the layers mounded up sometimes as high as several hundred feet. Capping is the process of laying 2 to 4 feet of soil over the top of the site and then planting grass on it to enhance the landfill's aesthetic value and prevent erosion. A ventilation pipe runs from the landfill's base through the cap to vent off accumulated natural gases created by the decomposing waste. Test wells around landfill operations are installed to constantly monitor the groundwater in the surrounding area, and soil analysis test for contamination. Capped landfills have been used as parks and golf courses. Rapid suburban growth has resulted in housing developments and office campuses being built on landfill sites. Most newer landfill sites are well documented, but the locations of many older landfill sites are no longer known. Special hazardous waste disposal sites contain radioactive waste from nuclear power plants, toxic chemicals, and waste materials produced by medical, scientific, and industrial processes. Additional waste disposal sites used as on-site garbage dumps are located on rural property, such as farms, ranches, and residences. Some materials, such as radioactive waste, are sealed in containers buried deep underground and placed in tombs designed to last thousands of years. These disposal sites are usually limited to extremely remote locations, well away from populated areas or farmland. Hazardous and radioactive waste disposal sites are subject to strict state and federal regulation to prevent the escape of toxic substances. For more information, EPA's website, www.laws-regs-has-html is a good place to start. Brownfields. According to the U.S. General Accounting Office, several 100,000 brownfields plague communities as eyesores and potentially dangerous and hazardous properties, often contributing to the decline of property values. The Brownfields Law. The Small Business Liability Relief and Brownfields Revitalization Act, or Brownfields Law, was signed into law in 2002. The Brownfields Law provides funds to assess and clean up brownfields, clarifies liability protections, and provides tax incentives toward enhancing state and tribal response programs. The law is also important for property owners and developers because it shields innocent developers from liability for toxic wastes that exited at a site prior to the purchase of property. In effect, a property owner who neither caused nor contributed to the contamination is not liable for the cleanup. Significantly, the law encourages the development of abandoned properties, some of which are located in prime urban real estate areas. Information on the Brownfields Law can be found at www.epa.gov/brownfields/laws/index htm.